Hello, and welcome to this Q&A event hosted by the Somerville Ward 5 Democratic Committee. This meeting is being recorded for later publication by the Ward 5 and Somerville Democrats. With just over a month left before Election Day on November 7th, the committee is pleased to welcome Ward 5 City Councilor candidate Naima Sait to take questions directly from committee members about your experience, values, and agenda for Somerville. To start, I'll give you 5 minutes for opening remarks, and after that, we'll open the floor for folks to get on stack and ask questions of the candidate. So with no further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Naima, for your opening statement. Thanks for being with us.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Nate. Thanks, everyone, for making the time today to be here. My name is Naima Sait, and a little bit about me. I'm a first-generation immigrant from Algeria. I'm a parent. I'm also a long-time Somerville resident. I was a teacher at the high school for 7 years. I speak 4 languages: English, French, Arabic, and Tamazight, which is the native language of indigenous people in North Africa. I've lived in Somerville for 10 years, and first as a renter, and now I'm a homeowner on Cedar Street here in Ward 5 since 2020. And Somerville, is the community that welcomed me as a first-generation immigrant. It's the place where I had the opportunity to serve as an educator at the high school for 7 years. And today it's the place where I'm raising my child with my husband, my child Masil. In my years teaching here in the community, I saw that a lot of the issues playing out in our schools are also issues we're dealing with as a broader community: affordable housing, sustainable infrastructure, mental health, and language access. I'm running because as an educator working in the community, I've been seeing and hearing about the daily effects of the housing crisis, the state of the municipal infrastructure on our residents, about how the pandemic and its aftermath have been affecting people's mental health, and I've been hearing from our most vulnerable populations on the importance of having translation interpretation services. A little bit about me as a union organizer and also a community organizer. I have organized with the Somerville Educators Union around a 10% school budget increase, and also a 10K pay increase for paraprofessionals, and also the implementation of a climate curriculum here in Somerville Public Schools. I've also done some other climate advocacy work with Somerville Youth Sunrise and with students all over Massachusetts. Other things I've also been organizing around language justice with CAS, especially in the height of the pandemic when CAS were looking for translators and interpreters. I've also helped recruit a lot of students in for the Welcome Project SLIPS program. So this is, I don't have a timer, so let me know.
You still have about 2.5 minutes left if you want to take it.
Okay. I'm eager to serve the community here in Ward 5, where we'll have an opportunity to work together with you to build the Somerville we want. We should put our growing prosperity to work for all of us, including long-term residents who want to stay in their home and new young people and immigrants wishing to settle down here. We should use our naturally close-knit neighborhoods to create a truly livable city with safe streets, a clean environment, and a lively cultural scene.
All right. Thanks so much, Naima. At this point, we'll move on to the portion of the meeting where members of the committee and others will have an opportunity to ask questions of Naima. We're going to try to keep this event friendly and informal, but for the sake of getting to as many questions as possible, each question will be limited to 30 seconds in length, and each response from the candidate will be limited to 90 seconds in length. I'll time you and let you know when your time has expired. Please try to respect the time limit so we can get to as many questions as possible. I'm going to start off by asking members just who are elected members of the committee to get on stack in the chat, and then I will let those folks ask questions first, and then after they've All gone. Anyone from the committee who would like to get on stack will go to Ward 5 residents. And after that, any other Somerville residents who would like to ask a question.
Nate, when you say
questions?
get on stack, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah,
Do we write the question
certainly
in the chat?
Yeah. Warren, so yeah, it means just if you type the word stack in the chat,
Okay.
then that will sort of put you in the queue, and then I'll
Okay.
call on you in the order that you're in the queue.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for folks' general information, and particularly for folks who are watching this after the fact, questions asked tonight have not been pre-screened by myself or the other committee officers. I don't expect that this will be a problem, but I ask that folks please keep their questions respectful and focused on the candidate's experience, values, and policy agenda for Somerville. I also ask that you listen to the other questions that are asked and try not to ask redundant questions. So we'll start off again with committee members, then go to Ward 5 residents, and then any other Somerville residents. So with that, I will open the stack, and if any members have a question for Naima, you can type stack in the chat, and I will call on you for your 30-second question. So to start us off, I'm going to go to Joe Lynch. Joe, take it away.
Thank you, Nate. Naima, thank you for running. That's number one. Good to see you again. Very, very quick question for you. Should you be successful in November, you will be my 5th ward councillor here in Ward 5. Could you just help me differentiate the difference between you and the past 5 ward councillors?
All right, thanks, Joe. Naima, you have 90 seconds.
Okay, so I have that's it's like really hard to thanks for the question. What differentiates me? I think I'm someone who has a lot of experience listening and also leading. Listening, as a union organizer, and also organizing, people around issues, making sure, to give them the skills, required to be advocates for themselves and also for others. And that is true also in, my work as an educator. I'm also someone who has different perspectives. I've, spent time in different, countries, and also I have speaking, different languages and having different perspectives of like the way we see things, and I guess other things are what differentiates me, the fact also that I'm a first generation immigrant, and I moved here 12 years ago all by myself at the age of 23, and they was a rental.
I'm sorry, Naima, that is time. That's
okay.
The 90 seconds. But thanks so much for your answer. And we'll move on to the next questioner now, which is Warren. Warren, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you, Nate. Well, one issue that is not going to go away very soon is the issue around affordable housing, and specifically, and there's a lot of displacement going on right now. It's been going on for years, especially among low-income people. The question is, specifically, what would you do, or what would your policy agenda be on the city council around affordable housing? That's really the most general way to put it.
Yeah, thank you. So over the next year or two, we need to continue to actively support efforts to pass transfer fee legislation so that we can more adequately and sustainably fund affordable housing projects, and to pass right to council legislation so that tenants have a fair chance in court. We also need to continue to build support and momentum for enacting rent regulation. In the meantime, we have to use and build upon the tools we already have to address the affordable housing crisis in Somerville. We need to consider options for strengthening the inclusionary ordinance, whether by increasing the requirement from 20% to 25% or higher, or by deepening the subsidies to make the units more affordable, so that, teachers can afford, to live in this community. We need to work with nonprofit developers to figure out strategies for leveraging the affordable housing overlay district zoning provisions to build more affordable housing. We need to keep funding legal services for tenants facing evictions, and we need to keep funding rental assistance to help tenants whose incomes can't keep up with rising rents. And now that we have the Housing Stability Notification Act and the multilingual handouts that explain tenants' rights and resources, we need to make sure that we get that information to as many tenants as we can, so that they understand their options and if and when their housing is threatened. And we need to keep funding nonprofits like CAS that organize supports for tenants facing displacement from building sales and luxury renovation.
And I'm afraid that's time. Thanks, Naima, and thanks for the question, Warren. So again, if members of the committee want to get on Stack to ask a question, you can just type Stack in the chat. We're going to go next to Alex Feldman. Alex, you have 30 seconds.
I like seeing Somerville get out front on issues that aren't just about the city, but face cities all over the country, such as getting our arts out. I'm very proud that Honk Fest is starting next week. And something else that means a lot to me is treating our environment right and using less fossil fuels. I would like to hear not just what you believe about educating young people about climate change, but what you might have done about helping young people understand the threat we face from climate change.
Yeah, thank you. So I have, my work in climate advocacy started a few years ago when the region I'm from burned to the ground, with climate change. And that's when, we started teaching about it in the classroom, and leading efforts to implement a climate curriculum in all subjects and grades here in Somerville is about creating a workforce, here in Somerville, but also like elsewhere. And this is, making us the first city, in Massachusetts to do this. When we talk about workforce, this, varies from, these young people, following careers in renewable energies, but also investing in our vocational programs so we can have, we can increase the offer for like plumbing and electricity, like in our plumbing and electricity programs. And that is what I have done here at the city level. At the state level, I worked with students on passing interdisciplinary climate education bill, which will require that in all the, which require climate education, all the districts here in Massachusetts. And for me, this is extremely important. In fact, I also was involved in—
That is time. I'm sorry, Naima, to cut you off, but I'm going to move on to the next question here, which is going to be from Adria Coletti. Adria, you have 30 seconds.
Hi, Naima. So this is a very committed group that you're speaking to today, and most of us here are well-versed on initiatives and other things that are going on within our city. So how would you reach out to other residents of Ward 5 to get their input on these important issues and to let them know about what is available to help them, especially to helping people stay in their homes?
Yeah, thank you. So a lot of what I have been doing since, we started campaigning is just knocking on doors, knocking on every single door. I have been doing this full time. It's really important for me as a new candidate running, for office to get to know my constituency. So for me, this is the number one thing to get that, contact and have those conversations in order to learn about the needs, and then connect the constituents to city services. So that's where my big focus is, and I'm learning every day about like the needs here in Ward 5, but also citywide, as I'm having also conversations with people who are involved in the city, who have been doing, you know, a lot of work, and have really great ideas on how we can expand that. I think translation interpretation is also extremely important. And I speak, you know, a few like languages, but if elected, I really hope, you know, we can do some work there of when I knock on the door and someone speaks, you know, a language that I don't speak, I'm able to communicate with them.
Thanks so much, Naima. I'm gonna go next to Olivia.
Thank you, Nate, and thank you, Naima. I have a question about like, should a natural disaster strike Somerville, flooding, or I don't know, with all the like towns more closer to us are starting to have climate change affect them. How would you see your role in getting residents connected to like federal programs, and like, what do you see the city council as in dealing in a disaster? I don't know. If all the trains went down, yeah, something like that.
Okay. One thing, you know, we have been doing as I'm knocking on doors and as I'm meeting the constituents here in Ward 5 is making sure we are creating community. People have been, this has been coming up over and over at the doors, is that I want to be able to know my neighbors. I want to have opportunities where I can get together with these neighbors and get to know them. This, you know, from parents, you know, wanting to create like spaces and opportunities, you know, to gather our seniors to be part of like an intergenerational community, our youth to have like youth programming, and these all built community. I have been even trying to organize, you know, streets, because when we have flooding, when we have heat waves, we need to be able first to check on each other, to know like how, you know, things are going. In fact, a lot of like the flooding that some parts of Ward 5 are experiencing, it's not just, you know, one or two homes, it's usually in a row. And people, so for me, like I'm gonna use my skills, you know, as a union, you know, organizer to do something similar, to like organize these people around issues, but also to create collective power when it comes to, you know, turning those needs and those issues that come up into policy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Naima. We'll go on next to Enid. Enid, you have 30 seconds.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, Naima. Naima, you started answering my question. This past time, my concern is how you use your existing connections and experience within the city to reach out and address other issues that will be new for you in your Ward 5 councilor role. Thank you.
Okay, so how I will use my existing, yeah, I just want to make sure like I get the question. I think, yeah, I definitely started responding to that, you know, a little bit. I think one thing I've been hearing, you know, at the doors is the importance of having, you know, a really, or like a better like announcements, you know, like from the city, like as, you know, we are, you know, experiencing things that are, you know, unprecedented, and figuring out how to deal with them. How do we get, you know, that information, you know, from the city and what to do, you know, whether it's like our businesses, you know, like that are not given, you know, enough, notice, you know, when there's like electric outage, you know, and we know that's going to last, you know, for days, to like, you know, what to do like when your, you know, basement is completely filled, you know, with water, and so it's like really making sure like we are, you know, informing, like the city, you know, is informing, you know, like the residents and the constituents of what's happening, and how that, and making sure that information is also available in multiple languages so people, you know, understand it.
Thanks so much, Naima. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself there. I'm not seeing anyone else from the committee on Stack. If there's anyone else from the committee who would like to ask a question, it would be good to type Stack now. And in the meantime, maybe I'll put myself on Stack to ask a question, which is this. In the past, some candidates running for office in Somerville have pledged not to take campaign contributions from certain groups, for example, real estate developers or police unions. Are there such groups of potential campaign contributors from whom you would refuse or return contributions?
Yeah, so I will return contributions from fossil fuel companies, from developers, and corporate PACs.
Got it. Thanks so much. All right. I'm still not seeing any other members of the committee. So I'm now going to open it up. If you are on the call and you live in Ward 5, but you are not a member of the committee, you can now get on Stack to ask Naima a question. And I see Marcy. Go for it.
Hi, Naima, and thanks for everybody for being here. Question, there's in recent times been some tension within our city council. It's sort of not exactly far right versus far left. It's more, somehow tensions in terms of really being able to advance a really strong, good agenda that benefits people that need it the most. What sort of skills would you be able to bring to try to ensure that we're able to see some great advances within our city and bring together various mini factions?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Marcy. I definitely hear you on that. And what I can say is that, I'm someone literally my whole career, that's what I do. Like I bring, people together. We go from, like not knowing each other, like, as a teacher, I give that example because that's where I develop that skill where students don't know each other, where, we have no relationship, to having really like successful like school year. And I'm interested, as I said, first thing I did when I announced that I'm running is meeting with all the at-large city councilors, meeting with like our mayor, meeting with our elected officials at the state level, and meeting with as many ward councilors and school committee representatives as possible. These issues, that are, part of my platform are issues I feel very, very strongly about, and those should be prioritized. So I will work with everyone, who has, like the same values and who would like to advance and, work on solutions. This is, I've shown that like in my years, serving the schools, and also when I brought together, a whole union of hundreds of teachers to all be part, of a process of negotiating for a new contract and making sure, everyone, everything that was brought up, like, at the table was addressed.
And that is time.
So,
sorry, Naima. But thanks for that answer. And I'm going to go next to Sam Alterman on Stack. Sam, you have 30 seconds.
Thanks, Nate. Actually, Naima, you started answering this as I was typing Stack, but so as you mentioned, you served as a member of the bargaining committee for the Rural Educators Union. How does that shape, and that experience of being involved in union politics, shape how you approach running for city council and how you would approach being a city councilor?
Yeah, the experience, of being, in union organizing and bringing people together, really like helped me, quite a lot, in the sense that, being, in a union, that experience, specifically because we won, a historic contract, and everyone like get a chance to have a role in that process. And everyone, we create committees where, whatever like you're interested in, you like wherever your interest is or like your needs are, you can join, you know, committee and work together like on solutions. And the youth, especially for the climate, you know, part, you know, its work was instrumental, and it was also extremely inspiring, because during that process all we did was just empower them to be, you know, climate advocates, and also making sure they, you know, empower others. So to me as a city councilor, this is, you know, where I will try to always do, give, you know, others a voice, listen, and lead, you know, yeah, so that's
Yep. Thanks,
my
Naima.
answer. Thank you.
90 seconds, so I'll fit that in well. So I don't see anyone else on Stack now. We have time for maybe a couple more questions. If there is anyone on the call who lives in Somerville and who has not yet asked a question and would like to, you can get on Stack now to ask a question. All right, I'm not seeing any. So in that case, what I'll do is go back to committee members. If there's anyone who would like to ask a second question, and you can type Stack in the chat. So basically free for all here. Anyone who, whether you've asked a question or not before, if you'd like to ask another, you can type Stack in the chat now. Got maybe one or two questions. All right, I'll okay, I see Enid. You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, hi, Naima. So I'm wondering, there are lots of connections in this city, but sometimes there are groups that are kind of siloed. So do you have any ideas about making connections like across groups within the city?
I think what I will do is reach out, you know, to those groups, and, you know, hear from them, and hear, you know, just like, what are the needs and what can I do, you know, like, as, you know, a city councilor. Yeah, I think, you know, like it's really hard to, like, you know, if it's not a specific group to be like, what am I gonna be connecting you to? But reaching out and listening.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
Naima. All right, so I was on Stack, but I see that Laura, who has not yet asked a question, wants to ask one. So I'll defer to you, Laura. Go ahead. You have 30 seconds. You're still muted, Laura.
Okay, sorry. Here I am. Hi,
Great.
Naima. Thank you for being here. We have two school buildings, the Winter Hill Community Innovation School and the Brown School, that either need to be renovated or replaced, as well as a school facility master plan to create with the community to plan for this work and long-term needs. How will you, as a city council, create a sense of urgency with city administration to accelerate this work and commit to a timeline, as well as considering all the community priorities that the city has?
Yeah, so the school buildings are, you know, very close to my heart, as, you know, an educator and someone who's been an educator in the city, you know, for years. I think, you know, it's really important that right now, like, one, we come together, you know, as a community, and because it's not just one school, you know, it's multiple schools. And as a city councilor, I will ask for a clear process, and working, you know, if elected with you, Laura, to ask for a clear process that will allow our constituents, you know, to engage, like, they will make it clear for our constituents to know how to engage with it, and to bring this, as an order, to city council to talk about it, and yeah, so that's talk and vote. If we are prioritizing, if our school buildings really matter, we want to prioritize them. We want to see it with votes.
Thanks, Naima. So I have one more question here to close this out. Many current members of the city council were on record in support of charter reform that would give the council the ability to reallocate funds within the city budget rather than just make cuts, which is what the body currently has the power to do. Despite this, 8 members of the current council voted against including this change in the draft charter that they're currently working on with the mayor. I'm wondering, do you support the city council having the power to reallocate funds within the city budget? And if so, how will you work to effectuate that policy goal if elected?
Okay, I think this is a question that I will need to get back to you on. I wanna give a thoughtful answer and actually get the details on that. But thank you for the question, Nate.
Yeah, certainly. Happy to chat with you after the meeting. All right. So I think that about concludes our 30 minutes with Naima. So I do want to say thank you very much for joining us at the Ward 5 committee this evening, and good luck in the last 5 weeks of the campaign.